Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the virtual breakfast sessions. I'm Larry Sashin, and today we put together a great group to discuss an interesting topic: growth during a down period, expanding while everyone else is pulling back. So basically, what we have here is a group of mavericks or salmon. They're swimming upstream, but they're doing it successfully. But before we go into the show, let me thank the people who are paying the bills. Ed Flanagan and the Era Group. Listen, I know you're tired of paying your employee taxes. It just seems to flow out of your pocket and never come back. Well, if you're tired of paying those employee taxes, call Ed Flanagan and his group of people who sift through everything that you have, look at your plans, and then it will suggest the 125 cafeteria plan would help you claw back some of that money. So Ed Flanagan, the Era Group, and back to the show. Expanding during down periods. Um, it seems to be everybody is contracting. They're pulling in their menus. They're slicing everything as fine as possible. Yet during this time, other people see opportunity and grow. But before we talk about that, why don't we introduce our guest? Gito, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello. Thank you for having me on the show. My name is Jito Nikai. Uh, Own a couple of different restaurants throughout New York. One here in Westchester, the Patsy's Pizzeria in Bronxville. One if by land, two if by sea in New York City, as well as a couple of other places in the financial district, as well as Brooklyn, Queens. And I'm thrilled to be on the show.
Okay. Antoine, say hi.
Hello, my name is Antoine Bleck. I am a restaurateur in Greenwich since 2013. I have Le Penguin and next door Orienta with my son, who's a chef. Le Penguin is a French bistro. Orienta is a French Asian bistro. And I have Le Fat Poodle in Old Greenwich, which is like we call it the global bistro. I've been in this business 45 years. And I'm also a musician, singer, songwriter called the
What do you do in
French
your spare
Corner.
time? What do you do
I
in your
ride,
spare time?
I ride my motorcycle.
Okay, that answers that question.
World's most interesting man returns.
Fred, say hi.
Fred Clashman, editor and publisher of Total Food Service.
All right. Well, listen. Once again, I'm Larry Sashin, and I am amazed. I speak to chefs, I speak to restaurateurs every single day, and everybody complains that margins are so thin. I can't expend any money. I can't expand. I can't fix this. I can't fix that. And here we have two gentlemen here who are adding to their portfolio of restaurants. They all have their separate reasons, whether it be familiar, whether it be out of boredom, whatever it is. We're going to start with this. And Gito, why don't we start with you today? Um, you have a great restaurant group working right now. Why expand during these times?
As much as you mentioned with, margins are very tight. We've had a lot of, besides labor increases, price increases, competition has become really tough, not from other restaurants, but from, in a moment.
Keep going.
Okay. Competition from other businesses because a lot of our restaurant guys are going to other jobs, whether they're driving, whether they're working for some big companies. So the competition has become fierce as far as, staffing. The other thing is that, we do also feel that in a tough market, there are some opportunities that have come up along the way. And maybe like myself and Antoine, we think that, okay, let's look at what's around us and see what makes sense because if you take the margins, but if you have other properties in proximity, maybe you can also work on your margins by capitalizing on your staff. He mentioned his son. My son is also actually involved, basically my right-hand person, hopefully my right and left hand one day. But he also went to culinary school. He actually had a time when he worked for Jean Georges up at the Inn at Pound Ridge. And, we always kind of brainstorm what makes the most sense, if it makes sense. And sometimes it's also, throwing caution in the wind and taking our chances where we feel, okay, we have the right mix of business and we're going to pursue it in a certain way. We're not just going to go haphazardly into something. We do give it a lot of time, thought, and effort. And right now, we're actually, as I mentioned before we started the program, we're probably signing a contract sometime, most likely this week, if not by next week, to purchase and open a new restaurant in a very short period of time.
Okay, so you're working now on a new restaurant. When did you open the restaurant in Dumbo?
4 weeks ago, and the Patsy's in Bronxville 7 months ago.
Wow.
So they're within a year of each other, and
So,
I don't know.
question for both you
Yes.
guys: is this about real estate? I mean, does the real estate drive the opportunity, or having a son that you're looking to work with, or is ambitious? Like, how do these? What's the recipe for these opportunities?
For me, it's not about the real estate. I think if I purchased the real estate would make it tougher to manage those properties. I mean, maybe Antoine has a different feeling, but if you get the right deal with the rent makes sense,
Right.
a good long-term agreement, and then you look at your numbers going forward. The rent is a key, and I think because there's so many other businesses that have become available, landlords have become somewhat more flexible on certain locations. I'm fortunate I have very good landlords, so I'm in the right place at the right time. But everybody has different ideas and thoughts. We looked at some properties to purchase, and we just felt the margins, the numbers were not
Yeah.
worth it.
I'm not talking about buying it. I'm talking about landlords with the right deal. What does that
Yep.
market look like? Antoine, do you
Those
see
are
that?
definitely
For me, it's a key ingredient to find the right space, and I missed two space that I really we wanted to get, because my son is my partner and chef at Orienta, and he's a great chef. He beat Bobby Flay, and I promised him to help him to do one more thing. So we missed already two places. So the last one that I found, for me, it was not ideal at all, but my wife and I and my son, we said, we got to take that spot, because I have, like, for me, I look it like I didn't have to do it, and I still have a little bit of energy to do one more thing. So we did it. So it is, in a way, it is real estate. But when you talk about downtime and uptime, I've been thinking about that project for 3 years already. And at the time, even like if you consider before the war in Ukraine, I mean, the times were pretty up, and then it was still up until like a month and a half ago. So this is not, we go through these kind of periods, and uh, sometimes you plan it for a long time. It takes sometimes years to find the right spot and to click it, to find the investors, and so you do with what you find.
Okay.
And right now it's downtime. It can be downtime in some areas, but in some other areas it's always a solid market. Like in Greenwich, I'm fortunate. I think it's a pretty solid market. And so we keep going.
If not in Greenwich, where? It's a type of thing.
Well, but the truth is, Antoine's going into around the corner from where Antoine was. There have been numerous failures through the years. I mean, this is he's taken a big risk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know the spot. I know the spot. Gito, you're unlike Antoine. Antoine stays in one location. You're all over the place. You pick all the boroughs. Why do you choose that instead of that place that you could service right from everybody all in one place?
Some of it was, I'm going to say, just stumbled upon. Some of them were targeted, and just as Antoine mentioned, sometimes you work on projects for years. I looked at a place, I went after it tooth and nail, back and forth. Owners, this one, we got a lease agreement in hand. Some of the language in there didn't make sense back and forth, and this was probably one of my biggest projects ever. And we couldn't come to terms on some of the language in it, and it was right in Times Square. And unfortunately, I walked away. Somebody else agreed to those terms, and for some reason, it might come back. I know it will, but other than that, sometimes there's opportunity. I am looking at properties closer to home because now, after having a place in Bronxville, I've gotten spoiled to my 1 minute commute.
Yeah.
And and it's funny because you just mentioned that the spot that Antoine took and has multiple, that location or that area had multiple failures. And looking at a restaurant that's not failed, but has turned over 3 times in 2 years, and everyone says, "Do you think the spot is cursed?" They said, "No, I just think that and again, I think that they had maybe the wrong formula. There was some issues with whatever was going on, and I think we can easily fix those." So again, sometimes it's an opportunity you see that others are shying away from it, and that you're willing to take the risk. All of them are risks, and whether you have investors or you use your own money, at the end of the day, it is a one. There's a lot of risk involved in the restaurants, because by the time you open it, you've already spent a lot of money, and it gets, that's why when you open, you stand there, you wonder, did I choose the right people, the right concept, the right this, the right that? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? And, every day you're wondering, and you just have to wait and see. And unfortunately, you have to keep your,
Believe
fingers
in
crossed
you.
as
Thank
well.
you.
You have to believe in your good star.
Mhm.
Because I'm a little bit immune in the risk department, because I opened a restaurant on September 11, 2001,
Wow.
and I opened another that was Opia in Manhattan in 2001, and then I opened Orienta when everything closed for COVID. So
All right. So when you
and I
open
went
your new
through,
restaurant, let me know. I'm going to stay locked in my house.
yeah, or short
Who are you
the
having to
market.
preach on Saturday?
Something just popped into my head. Antoine, with all your restaurants, although each one is a different animal, there's
Yes.
a thread between all of them. There's some kind of tie. The menus cross in different places. You have found that formula that works well in Greenwich.
Yeah.
So what is the new one going to look like?
Well, it's going to look different. Physically, it's a different decor. I have a very good designer, and my wife wanted to do something different, so I let her do it. It's going to be very chic. And the menu is going to be, I wanted to do like another Penguin, but since it's like down the street, I had I have to invent something that's going to be French American. It has to be French, but different than Penguin. So I wanted to free my son from the French Asian concept, and I want him to be able to do whatever he wants. He worked with Eric Ripert, Le Bernardin, some good chef for many years, and I want him to do anything he wants. But it's going to be, you know, kind of a chic but casual restaurant. And we have, we celebrate the birthdays with big music, because I do the song remix of birthdays. Sometimes I come up with some my own, and that we blast for every birthday. Sometimes it's way too much and scares people, and some people some people hate it and never come back, but most people, I think, most people enjoy it, and everybody is applauding and having fun.
Great, great.
So it's it's all into style of the restaurant. The menu has to be simple enough. Because in Greenwich, these people, they all have money, and people with money, they can afford to go to all the best restaurant all around the world. And when they're home, they want something easy and simple and good. No
Okay.
chichi.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So it has to
let
be.
me ask you. Okay. Go ahead, finish.
No, it has to be kind of chic but casual and no shishi.
Okay.
That's
Looking
it.
forward to it. Looking forward to it. So, Gito,
Yes.
your path is a bit different. Every single one of your restaurants is totally different. What is the thread with those? How do you tie? You have a pizza place. You have one of the probably the most romantic restaurant in Manhattan. One of by land, two of by sea. You have pardon me if I describe it wrong, a clam bar in Dumbo. In Dumbo. What is your thread that ties everything together so it is successful?
I think my thread, or I feel my thread is I'm very fortunate. I have a couple of very good chefs, and our team is very good. So, and our kitchen in the financial at 55 Water, the building is 4 city blocks. I mean, it has its own zip code. The kitchen is 10,000 square feet. So, we look at that facility, and there we have in the food court, we have a sushi, pizza, pasta, all these different stations, international, where it's hot buffet, and but a lot of the thinking and what comes together has come out of there when you look at something, and also they don't have that synergy in certain things besides the people. But what happens then is that you know you have to look at where you are and what you're thinking. I mean, one if by land, there was no changing. It is what it is. And looking at Dumbo and being there on the water and looking what's around us, and there was no oyster bar there, and it's a great location. It has that look and feel. Patsy's was, what there was a pizza place. It was good, but it didn't survive. And we thought, hey, it'd be fun to do this. So a lot of it is more about your gut, your feel. We're working on the new restaurant as we speak, and that one is very interesting because that one is not going to be anything like the Patsy's because it's too close to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the one if by land, two if by sea menu. We're going to change certain things, add a few more items on there that are going to be fitting, and it's going to be a steakhouse with a very upscale, but like Antoine said, shishi, but not shishi. uh, we're looking for casual. People in Bronxville like Greenwich. They can go out wherever they want, whenever they want. They don't always need the fluff. They could just want to go sit down. They could be in a sport jacket or a golf shirt and have a nice meal and make it have a great night no matter where they go.
Yes, the definition of a neighborhood joint is very, very, very loose.
Larry, I have a question. Antoine, do your customers follow you around from restaurant to restaurant, or is it a different base of customers?
Well, yeah, they do, but some, like for example, in Greenwich, the Penguin, I have regulars at Penguin. They have never been next door, which is like, 10 yards away, at Orienta, because Orienta is more like French Asian. And some people, they just want to stick with their habits. And, but yeah, mostly they will come and check it out at least once, most of the time.
Any synergy between customer bases?
It's actually funny because I do get a lot of customers who've eaten at Patsy's. I know I have one at by land. I always give everybody my card, my number. Hey, I'm going for my wife's this, my brother's that, this one, and they'll make reservations. They'll go back and forth. So I've had quite a few go back and forth to different properties. I've actually had some just text me, "Hey, we're at Dumbo. We tried it." I always get mad because, "Hey, how come you didn't tell me you were going?" So I can, I always want to do something nice when they, make the effort. But I've been very fortunate because they're so different that I've had them try different places, including booking events with them. So, I'm very fortunate. I'm hoping that works differently for myself and here in Westchester, because having places in proximity of each other, it'd be very good to have them, of course, go back and forth. But again, some have their preferences. That's what they want to stick with, and at least word of mouth is always a great thing because somebody else will come.
Okay.
Which brings up another question. How do you guys market these properties? Is it social based? Is it traditional magazine print? How do you market
For us, we don't do anything. I mean, at ORIENTA, we had a PR when we started a little bit. It's always good to have a PR kind of to spread out some, so we get some articles in the local press. But for me, it's mostly word of mouth.
Okay.
And like social media, we have large mailing lists. But for example, for the new restaurant, I'm using only the ORIENTA list because Penguin and Poodle, I have a different partner that I have to deal with. So sometimes we don't mix up the mailing lists.
Got it.
So it's word of mouth.
You know what? We've tried different things. Just as Antoine said, we had somebody do our social media and this and that, and I think we've been in the business long enough where we do have a lot of people who, are loyal to us. We do have a very extensive mailing list. As far as like One If by Land, it's hundreds of thousands. Some you don't know if you're still active or not, but we'll utilize those with any special things coming up. We don't inundate people with too many constant emails, because you know what happens then? It becomes autopilot to delete everything that comes in. But I think the word of mouth is definitely, as much as, I guess, I'm sorry, Antoine, I'm making it sound like we're dinosaurs, but word of mouth has always been our strongest marketing device, because when people are happy, and they'll just tell everybody and let them use their social media to help us. But we are very fortunate. We're embarking on some social media campaign right now with Dumbo Oyster Bar because it's so new. But other than that, it's a mix of everything. And I'm very hopeful that by word of mouth more than anything else, and everybody else using their social media instead of ours, is what's driving us.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen. It's this time of the show that I always say time is our enemy, and we're coming near the end of the show. So, I'm going to come right back to you in a second to give that one little tidbit of information that you want to leave the viewing audience with. But before I do that, I have to thank our sponsors once more. Ed Flanagan and the Error Group. Listen, we all work very, very hard for our money. And if you're getting product into your restaurant every single day and you're just counting the boxes and taking that invoice and sticking it on that pin, you're missing out on some money. Because, hey, you know what? Distributors sometimes make mistakes. Sometimes you get a replacement. Nobody told you. Sometimes the price changed and you didn't even know about it. So if you think you're not getting what you paid for or would like to do better, call Ed Flanagan and the Error Group. Their people will sift through your invoices, sift through your contracts, and make sure you're getting what you're getting that you agreed to. Plus, if they think they could do better for you, they'll let you know. All right. Back to the show. It's been a great show. Great show. Like I always say, it's a half hour, but it seems like 5 minutes. But before we go, Gito, why don't you leave that last little bit of information with the people who are listening when they're thinking of opening a new place? Something, give them a tip.
Wow. All right, the tip is don't do it.
I knew that was coming.
Right, Antoine? Tell them don't do it.
Well, don't do it because they're going to steal our customers if they do it better than us.
Well, I wasn't thinking of that, but okay,
funny.
you're right.
Yeah.
No, you know what? It's just if you're going to do it, you have to love it. I really, you can't go in thinking, okay, I'm going to open it because it's cool, because you have people think it's cool and they're going to open up a place. And then you have people who want to open up a restaurant because they're thinking about, look at how well these guys are doing. I want to do well too. You have to first do it because you love it, and then give it more thought, of course. But you just can't go in thinking it's the cool factor, because there's some people think that, and there's something because they're going to make money and they're going to do really well. And realistically, those two aside, you have to give it some deep thought before you just dive into restaurant, especially if you're really not from the business. It could be a very tough lesson for people who are not experienced enough to do it. That's just my little advice.
It's a valuable tidbit of information. Antoine.
So you take a piece of paper and you write down how many lunch you think you can do and how much people will spend, and you do the same thing for dinner, and then you know your rent, and if your rent is above 8%, it's starting to be complicated, or you're in trouble, and you have to make sure you're able to. How many people are going to come for lunch? How many people are going to come for dinner? How much you're going to pay your chef, your employees? And see if it's reasonable, and then who's going to come up with the money to open the place, how many investors you're going to have. Don't take money from people that cannot afford to lose their investment, because they're going to drive you nuts, or you're going to fight with some member of your family who want to invest with you, and then if they cannot get their money back, it's a disaster. There's so many moving parts that, the first advice is not to do it. But if you do it, you have to look at every aspect of it.
Okay, thank you. Before Fred says goodbye, Gito, tell everybody the names of your restaurants and where they are.
Patsy's Pizzeria in Bronxville, 1F by Land, 2F by Sea in the West Village. We have Masterpiece Caterers, or Cafe 55 at 55 Water Street, Vivo in Bayside, Dumbo Oyster Bar in Brooklyn, and blank, 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 to be named soon.
Okay.
There is a Patsy in Greenwich, no?
Yes, that has nothing to do with me. They bought the franchise just like I have a franchise, so they're different owners.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
I'm just
Antoine.
I'm joking.
We did miss one thing, but this is a different show. Your thread is the way you run the restaurants. If you look at them, there's no affiliation, there's no thing, but they're all run the same way. And that seems to be a success. So that could be a different show. Antoine, tell everybody where your restaurants are.
So we have Le Penguin and Orienta on Louis Street in Greenwich, Connecticut. And we have Le Fat Poodle in Old Greenwich. And we are opening in a few months Le Sauvage, which was my ancestors' restaurant in Mulhouse in Alsace in 1700 something. Wow. And that's going to be across the train station in Greenwich.
Okay. Well, guys, it's been a great show. Thank you for
my
being
turn.
on.
My
yes,
turn.
I know. I'm going to say. Okay. Fred, why don't you say goodbye?
So I think the lesson from this show is there's a tremendous advantage when you have a child who shares the passion that mom and dad have, and that next generation to make it happen is super important.
Yes.
I would not do this next restaurant if I didn't have my son, if it was not for my son and my family.
Yeah, it's always good to have a wing that you could trust, and that it seems to work out for both of you. Okay.
Well, I tell my
thank you for having us.
I tell my son he's as dumb as I am for being in this business. So, we just laugh about it and have fun.
As long as you laugh about it, have fun, and have folding cash in your pocket, you're way ahead of the game. So, guys, thank you for being on the show. This has been wonderful.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It is always opened my eyes when I hear people who hear the same news that everybody else hears. And people say, this is miserable. I hate this guy. I hate that guy. And then there are guys like you that say, oh, here's an opportunity. Here's an opportunity. And it is people like you that make this business wonderful. And thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to be back again tomorrow. So please look us up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And in the meantime, until we do meet again, I only have two things to say. Everybody, stay positive, test negative. See you soon. Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Bye, guys.